All right, so this next section is kind of like we're calling it the All-State watch list. It doesn't mean that everybody on here, um, like that's who's going to be on the All-State team. Like there's definitely guys we're going to be missing here, but we're just going to kind of talk through uh, players in different parts of the states that we feel like probably had good years. We have their stats on them maybe now that we're going to kind of mention. Um, really just kind of an open discussion about some guys to kind of keep an eye out for that might be on that all-state team. But with that, call us out for anybody that we probably are missing. Like, let us know, email us, keep us posted on that as well. But Drew, I'll kind of let you kind of take over the rest, or him, and I see you're unmuted too. But go
Oh,
ahead.
I just
Yeah,
figured we
no,
could
I
kind of just roll and talk about it.
yeah. Excuse me. I'm totally fine just rolling. I think the whole crux of this is, hey, the year's ending. At least like what we're doing from where we sit is we're starting to think about, oh wow, okay, after the 3A 4A state finals on that second weekend of June, we need to have that 1A 2A or first place, second place, third place, all state teams at least in a really good spot. So when the season's over, we can add any guys that maybe tore it up at the play in the playoffs or at state and add them to the list. But we need to start getting a good idea. So we're brainstorming on our end. We're starting to reach out to coaches for players' stats so we can start to compile this list. And we felt like, hey, might as well just talk through some of these guys that are like kind of no brainers. Not that they're going to be on the list, but guys that we either saw, showed up in the daily roundup all the time, were player of the week nominations like multiple times, guys that are really high up in our rankings that we know we're going to have to double check, like a Brandon Shannon. Like he's one of the top right handed arms in our 25 class. He got turned in for player of the week constantly. We saw a couple of his unbelievable outings, and the ones we didn't see, we were tracking on social media, on Game Changer, looking at his stats. So, really, this is for us. Like, we're using this as a brainstorming session. We do have stats on some guys. We don't have stats on other guys. We may mention a guy like Enzo Infelice is one. To me, he's one of the top bats in the state. I don't know his stats. I don't know if he hit 310 or 410. I know he's one of the most imposing bats in any lineup in the state, and I know he's got all kinds of power attached to it, but like we're gonna have to find out. But I'll tell you right now, like Enzo Infelice is gonna be on that short list of guys we need to cross check. And really that's all we're trying to do right here. So, Enzo's one that we're gonna have to look into. I see Naz right here at the top has two guys listed and Jaden Fauski. Like he was on the short list last year for being player of the year. Ryan Sloan ended up getting it, led York to state. In our opinion, was the most dominating player in all of high school baseball last year. He had a fastball in the upper 90s with all kinds of pitchability. But man, Jaden Fauski was right there. We'll have to check in on him. Landon Tomey, every time we see him, he rakes. Every time we don't see him, I feel like we're seeing a video of him hitting a home run on social. Um, this next one for me is like one of the most fun ones of the year. It's Jack Bauer. Really when you go to the end of the year and start to break down these stats, like how dominant are they going to look? Because 101.7 mile an hour fastball or whatever he threw at Lake Point, like that's dominant. But we got to see exactly what the numbers break down. But regardless, like huge breakout year for him. Um, and I'll be very curious to see what those numbers look like at the end of the year. I don't know if there are any guys that are popping off the page to you guys.
Well, I'm gonna go highlight my preseason pick for Player of the Year, Connor Essenberg. I'm just looking at it right now. He's hitting 480 on the year, and it seems like he's one of the more dominant two ways in the state, and he's 5-0 with a .8 ERA. Now I'm trying to figure out. It says these were last updated on May 24th, according to Max Preps. So, but either way, he's got 41 innings. This has got to be correct. 41 innings with a 0.8 ERA, and 91 strikeouts. It's pretty good.
Pat yourself on the back.
Yeah.
That's a good preseason pick right there.
It's not hard. The dude does it with the bat and on the mound. Like, it's all props to him. But, yeah, and a couple other ones that I know are just dominating. Gavin Triesenberg, CCL Player of the Year. 35 games, hit 460 on the year, 530 OBP, 730 slug, 1266 OPS, 14 doubles, 4 bombs, 39 RBIs. Like, man, I didn't even know that the stats were that good. And that was all in conference, correct?
That should be the stats you're reading
Oh,
off. I
that's
believe
overall.
are year-end stats,
Okay,
but
nice.
he did win Player of the Year in that conference, and they
Yep.
probably would have only factored in his stats in conference play for that, which I don't. I don't have those. I'm sure they're
No, that's
very
fine. I
impressive
mean,
because
like,
that's a tough conference to win that award.
for sure. And like the
Yeah.
bulk of those stats are coming from that conference where there's
Yes.
premium arms week after week, day after day. So that's super impressive. But some other ones that I saw,
Hammett,
like,
real quick, you brought up a couple good points. Like you found Triesenberg on Max Preps, and we're using a couple different websites, whatever you want to call it, to collect some stats just mid-season when we're curious about a guy, right? So, or a team, hey, who's doing really well? Let me look, like who's their ace, whatever. It's not always going to be correct. One resource that I use a ton is STL Today, but that's why it's so important for us to get the year-end stats from these schools. So hey, were the numbers that we were looking at all year round, were they correct? Is that like, were we on it there? But then also you bring up Triesenberg, and I think a really hard thing to do with these Player of the Year and All-State watch lists and selecting these teams is, okay, what's your criteria? Like, what is your criteria for All-State teams? And to me, it's like, hey, who are the most dominant, best prospects, like played the best competition and dominated the best competition versus, maybe there's a good player who played really poor competition and put up huge numbers. Like, that's a very hard thing to factor. But also, like defense, base running. Yes, you can look at stolen bases, but like not every good base runner is a base stealer per se. And defense, there's really other than fielding percentage, like Anthony Cardilano, like how does he differ versus another center fielder where maybe he gets to everything, and if you watch him play all year, wow, that guy impacted like 12 different games, making huge plays, versus a guy who's kind of a liability. So, just a lot of stuff that we do look at. I do think when it comes to like a tie, guys that were like, hey, who do you choose? Defense, base running, leader, like leadership on the field, all plays a role. So keep going. Some other guys you're eyeing.
yeah, for sure. And then like also maybe like helping them to state, like you said, right, with
Yes.
the Ryan Sloan, like something like that too is huge. Like the overall value they brought to that team, like would they have made it to state without him? That's a big one.
Love it.
But another one that stood out to me, just kind of like scrolling Twitter and seeing some of these awards come through. Zach Pomato from JCA. He was one of the MVPs in the ESCC at JCA. He's a senior going to Northern Kentucky. He hit 535 with a 1.395 OPS. That's a heck of a stat line for that kid. I don't know what the numbers are on the entire year, but I mean, he's long been like a worker behind the plate. Tough, gritty kid. He threw out 5 runners too, as well. So good stats on him.
That 651 OBP is nuts.
Yeah.
Because like
Yeah.
the beautiful, like if you really think about it, he's getting on base at that clip, and he's a catcher. They're immediately then putting in their best base runner. Like that is such a nice commodity to have there for Coach Voss. Your catcher's getting on base at that kind of clip, and you can pinch run. So no, and Pomato's long been a standout for JCA. Like he's been in that lineup since he was an underclassman, has long been a performer, and I mean taking it to another level with those stats.
Totally.
That's absurd.
And then sticking on JCA, Lucas Grant. I mean, he was the pitcher of the year in that conference. He had 2 wins, a save, 22 innings, and then a 0.32 ERA with just 8 hits allowed, and he struck out 38 guys to just 1 walk. I want to know who that walk was because I might have actually seen it now that I'm thinking about it.
I'm guessing it was a bad call. I think it was a strike.
Yeah, I think I saw it. They might have been against Bishop McNamara now that I'm thinking about it. But he had a .04 whip. I've never seen a whip that low in real life, I should say, maybe like video games, and then a 105 opponent batting average. So those are just video game numbers. Man, it seems like every week he was dominating, and I know he continues to do that. I mean, I picked JCA as one of my teams to win state, and I'm really liking that pick with
Yeah.
with Lucas Grant leading that rotation. And I know like Ian Campbell was all conference as well, with like a 2.5 ERA. So good
Totally.
little.
They're going to be very dangerous, and they're going to be throwing some of the hardest throwers, I would say, in
Hmm.
that 3A playoff. At least what's going to be coming off the mound for them. But
Definitely.
I don't a guy that I don't know his stats, but like I loved this year, and I'm sure he played high level defense. He probably got on base and scored a ton of runs. Probably stole a good amount of bases, but Lucas Simulik,
Yep.
like he's
He
he's
was
a gamer.
defensive
And
player of the year too.
okay, so he
No
won
errors.
defensive player of the year. No errors at shortstop. They don't play on a natural like a artificial surface there at
Right.
JCA either. Like it's natural. So I do think like that also plays into it for me. You go to St. Lawrence, you go to Brother Rice, like they've got turf infields. Like it is a huge difference, especially at the high school level, playing on dirt versus turf because there's not water in, that dirt. They're not rolling those infields every other day when it's soft, making sure it's level like they do at the college level. So definitely like that's a crazy stat. No errors at shortstop, and maybe that's in conference play or whatever that is, but that's still impressive. That was a name
100%.
that jumped off the list or
Yeah,
jumped
and
off
I
the
know
page
he's
just
been
because
hitting well for
JCA.
him too.
Yeah.
He's at the top of that lineup. So yeah, big fan of him. But a few more for me. We got two guys from Manuka, like Zane Caves that I just mentioned. Like he's been on a heater. It seems like the past month and a half, like that kid's been dominating every time he takes the ball. I'd love to see his end of the year stats. I'm sure they're really good. And then Braden Zillis, like he was all state for us last year. He does it on both sides of the ball as well. I mean, when I went to see Manuka on Monday, and Braden hit a home run, like one of the first pitches of the game, just straight away center field, just boop, home run. Like he just does that. Like he just always hits for us. He's like one of the first people that comes to mind when thinking of dudes that just dominate in all aspects, and he's a good prospect too. Like I think Illinois State is getting a heck of a player on both sides of the ball with him. So big fan of him. And then a few from Libertyville. We were kind of digging through them. I mean, their rotation is absolutely stacked. I mean, shoot, imagine if Quinn Shemba was pitching for them. Imagine him just closing games. But I mean, his
They,
arm is a
they have
little.
the flexibility where if they wanted to, they probably could have because you could throw Wilberding back there. You've got some guys
Yeah,
that could catch for them
yeah,
too at a high level.
totally. Some good
Yeah.
catchers. But yeah, I mean, Josh Hulse, he's 8-0 with a 1.3 ERA. He struck out 85 over 47 innings. Chase Lockwood, he was huge as a sophomore for them, and he's picking right up as a junior. 41 innings with a 1.1 ERA, 7-0, 45 Ks, just 10 walks. And then Brady Bunick, he's rocking a 1.1 ERA. And I believe it was like 25 innings and around 31 strikeouts and just the 6 walks for him. So that's awesome. Like he's throwing that many strikes with that arm talent at that size. And then Quinn Shambo, he's hitting 490 on the year, 121 plate appearances, 16 doubles, 4 triples, 3 doubles, 20 walks to just 7 strikeouts. That stands out to me. And then he's got a 587 on base percentage with a 1.420 OPS. So really good stats there as well.
Well, and one guy that you were watching, I think you've seen him twice maybe this year. I got to watch him once at the Kickoff Classic, but Jack Wheeler.
Hmm.
Um, and I think it's always a unique dynamic too when like selecting player of the year, a pitcher only or a position player only versus like a two-way guy. Man, the guys that do it on both sides of the ball and put up kind of video game numbers on the mound and at the plate are hard not to, gravitate towards. And Jack Wheeler's one of those guys. He got double-digit home runs on the year, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
He's been pitching a lot as well this year, probably throwing more than he ever has in years past, playing a good third base. So that's a name that I will be very curious to dig in on his year-end numbers. I know Braden McKendrick, left-handed, uncommitted junior left-handed arm at Brother Rice, was lights out all spring for Brother Rice, especially in that Chicago Catholic League. Jake Matisse won the Pitcher of the Year in that league. He's an uncommitted junior. We'll have to see what all these numbers are at the end. Brandon Thompson, Tyler, like we've talked about him quite a bit this spring. that's one school that like we still need to get out and see if I'm not mistaken. And I think one of the things that we take a lot of pride in and try to do throughout the spring is see, as much bang for our buck as we can at a matchup, or as many good prospects as we can, young prospects, guys that are uncommitted, but to spread the love to as many schools as possible. And it is very hard to do. But that is one school that like has some guys that we need to see that maybe playoff time we can get a good matchup. I think they play Deerfield coming up on the first round, but Brandon Thompson won the ESC. What was his actual award? Did he win
He was
co-player of the
the
year or
offensive player of the year per
okay?
St. Vitus Twitter. That's his selection there.
All right, and he hit 525, I believe, in conference. And he gets to his power. Had quite a few home runs that we saw just from digging in numbers. So we'll have to see what his year-end stats look like. Zach Bava at Naperville North like broke a school record for career hits. Long been a performer. He can run too. Like I'm sure he's impacting the game on the bases. He'll be a name to know. And we did it kind of by region here, so that was a lot of just the Chicagoland names that had stood out. I think Lucas Rink has had a big year for Wilmington as well. I want to say like 85 strikeouts and 57 innings.
Yeah.
No,
85 strikeouts, 57 innings. He's got a .74 ERA, which is nuts. We talked a lot about that Wilmington Coal City game from Saturday. He threw a complete game, 7 innings, shutout, 3 hits, struck out 10 guys. So he's just been doing it all year for Wilmington. So I think he also swings it a little bit too for them. So
see. I'd be curious to know what his hitting numbers are because I loved his swing at the Rock last summer.
But just another guy to know.
What region do we want to go into next? Like the northern western Illinois? I know there's a couple names here. Some of it can be kind of confused with Chicagoland area as well, but
Yeah, if I threw some of these names in here, so I mess up like the technical area of the state. That's on
oh,
me. I'll take the blame there. I was trying my best to think of like the best way to word it, but yeah, if you guys got anything on any of these guys, feel free, or I can just kind of go through and talk about a couple of them.
yeah, I think it's all about like, hey, we see you. You're on our list. Like we know we got to get stats on you. We know you're a good player. Like you've done something that has piqued our interest. So yeah, I like all these names on this list you got here, Gavin.
Yeah, I mean Davis Colley, I think from Sycamore is one, and honestly Jackson McDonald too. I'd be curious what his numbers were like him. And I know you saw him a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
They've got a good team, but I'm sure Colley's numbers are pretty ridiculous. A Bradley commit, 2025, big year for him, I'm sure.
Yeah, especially as a first baseman, he's probably mashing. I've seen him a couple times, and he's just really physical left-handed bat. And good shout on McDonald too. I'd be curious to know what his hitting numbers are. But yeah, I mean, then like we got guys like Cody Fritas who have been on varsity for multiple years now, so they've got some experience, and he's actually another two-way. We really like it on the mound, and I mean the bat's really interesting too. Adam Swanson's another one from Ottawa, like future gamer. Can really hit, can kind of play a little bit everywhere in the field, like outfield, can catch. Andrew Talbert, same thing. Like that dude's a Swiss Army knife that's been having a really good year from the looks of it.
He's thrown like multiple no hitters that we've seen,
Yeah.
and we've always liked him as a position guy. Like he's got a huge arm. I think he was maybe mid 90s from the outfield at our preseason All State a few years ago.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that. I kind of want to look that up, but offensively too, like he's got big power. I know he hit like couple home runs that we saw over social. That's a name I'm very curious to see kind of what the year-end stats come out to be. And this next one, left-handed arm Aiden Tarrant. How do you pronounce the last
Tyrannus,
name?
I believe. Tyrannus is
Okay.
how you say it, I think.
Out of Sherrard?
Yeah, going to UIC. I mean, I see like every week. I feel like the Diamond Notes, their coach is always submitting his name for that, or like in the daily roundup, he'd have like 10, 11 strikeouts a game. It seemed like so. I'm sure he had a really big year, and I know he hits for them too. But I think probably the stats on the mound were probably really good. So I'm curious what that would be. And then Callahan O'Connor out of Bishop Mac. Sure, he had a pretty big year. I'm curious what his stats looked like for Bishop Mac. And I know they had Don Panazzo too, who had when I looked a few weeks ago, he had some pretty good stats for Bishop Mac as well. So couple guys in that area. I'm sure there's plenty more that we haven't mentioned here, but uh,
I'm seeing some loud stats in this central Illinois region here, Gavin.
yeah.
Like a lot of strikeouts for some arms and stuff like that.
The first guy I wanted to talk about was Duncan, right? RJ Duncan out of East Peoria is a 2026 going to ISU, and first team all conference in the Middle Illini. And he's just a guy that we've kind of seen do it throughout the year and the looks that we've had at him. But at the plate, and this is all coming from Max Preps, so I'm not entirely sure if it's fully updated, but just what we have from Max Preps, he's hitting 452, 4 homers, a triple, 10 doubles, 21 RBIs, 25 runs scored. And then at the plate, or sorry, on the mound, he threw 44 innings, struck out 59, only walked 8, allowed 3 runs, and then has a .47 ERA. So I definitely think he's probably going to be one to keep an eye on. Just numbers on both sides of the ball, really good, and then really good prospect as well. So we'll see if he can take East Peoria too. See how far he can take them in the playoffs.
I mean, these Appenzeller stats are nuts.
Yeah,
I I'm curious how many total innings he's thrown, but the 37 strikeouts to 2 walks, he hasn't given up an earned run, and opponents are hitting 132 off him. And then for good measure, we kind of talked about his bat playing at a pretty high level. Like he's hitting 440 with 7 doubles and 6 home runs. And those 37 strikeouts have come in 19 innings. So basically, two guys an inning, he's striking out and not walking a soul. Um, that's dominant stuff right there. So I think if there's one guy to watch come like playoff performances, watch out for some Cameron Appenzeller action for sure.
yeah, and I mean
Dylan
Dylan
Huff's
Huff,
another
yeah,
guy on his team that will want to look up numbers.
and I think
Um,
like pitching numbers, yeah, we'll see. But I think again, like you've mentioned it a couple times, I think today, Drew. But like, man, his numbers at the plate,
Dylan
I'm
Huff's been
sure.
raking.
Yes, yes, like all year. A lot of home runs, doubles, triples, things like that. So yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
like
curious.
constant extra base hits, I feel like.
Yeah,
And Cash Van Houten has been on the rise since the winter and clearly carried it over to the spring, Gav. What do you have here?
yeah. I mean, you said 464 in the year, 4 triples, 11 doubles, 15 RBIs, 29 runs, 13 stolen bases, and then on the mound, almost 2 strikeouts an inning this year. 44 innings pitched, 87 strikeouts, 22 walks, and a 2.07 ERA. As a sophomore, kind of leading the way for that Canton team. So really good thing to mention there, I think. But yeah, good
You
stuff there for the year, and we'll see what his final stats are.
I mean, you said it like sophomore. We don't get too many sophomores or freshmen that are really even on this list that we're talking about, or that end up making the first team, second team, third team all states. Like they have to be pretty special. Now there have been guys that have made it, but like man, a lot of these names I'm looking at are juniors and seniors, and for Cash to do what he did, that is 87 strikeouts in 44 innings as a sophomore. Like that's pretty nuts.
Yeah,
Um,
and
Tanner
kind of looking at
Thomas's numbers too are
yes.
just crazy.
Looking at some Mount Zion guys, just Sam Driscoll is a guy I'm going to keep an eye on. Andrew Tay, Jackson Beeler, 3 guys for that Mount Zion team that I'm sure had some pretty good years. I know when I saw them, those were kind of guys that stood out, so I'm sure they had some good years. And Drew, yes, Tanner Thomas, our Cole, like you mentioned, going to Louisville. I think I said that right. I'm trying to change my ways of
Louisville,
saying
Louisville,
Louisville.
Louisville,
All right.
Louisville.
Um,
Yeah.
but he batted
Oh, you're
580
good.
on the year, hit 9 jacks, 15 doubles, 39 RBIs, 41 runs scored, 14 stolen bases. And then on the mound, 31 innings pitched, 67 strikeouts, 7 walks, only 1 run allowed on the year. So really good stuff as a two-way for Tanner Thomas.
That
Uh,
is great to see.
yeah,
Like that strikeout to walk ratio is huge. Because I actually do know, like when we saw him, it was a little scattered. The last couple times I had seen him, so he's clearly in the zone with some dominant stuff. So shout out to you, Tanner.
yeah.
Bright future. He's like highly, highly athletic.
And then kind of
Um,
looking in the Peoria area, and I guess I should have mentioned these are two-way guys we're talking about. We'll kind of break it down positionally and pitchers too. But uh, back into the Peoria area, Davis Weeks sitting 521 on the year with 2 jacks, 3 triples, 11 doubles, 31 RBIs, 42 runs scored, and 31 stolen bases. And then on the mound, 45 innings pitched, um, I think I
Yeah,
got
I don't
that
know how many
something.
Ks that is, Gavin,
Yeah,
but I'm guessing
also
it's not the number we have
yeah,
listed there.
I'll have to look that up.
Yeah.
Uh, but no, good stuff there. If someone can get that stat, that'd be awesome. I was looking at max preps, but then Caden
It
Shotzik,
starts with a 7. I'm guessing he's got 45 innings pitched with 70 plus Ks.
yeah,
Would be
that's a
my guess.
yeah. But Caden Shotzik out of Brimfield, really doing it at the plate. 423 with 7 homers, 4 triples, 12 doubles, 50 RBIs, 39 runs scored, 11 stolen bases, and then 13 innings pitched on the mound, 33 strikeouts, 10 walks, 3 earned runs. And thank you, Dane, 77 strikeouts on the year for Davis Weeks. So some good stuff there for both Weeks and Shotzik.
I mean, Shotzick's basically striking out every guy he's facing. All of his outs are coming via strikeout, except 6 of them, if my math is correct. So 33 out of 39 outs have come via strikeout. That is dominant stuff. We got to see that at the future games. It's a big fastball with a really, really good slider and a great looking frame that's only going to continue to get better.
Yeah.
And there are some dominant prospects in Central Illinois. This is great.
Yeah, looking at some position guys. Max Heineman, he's hitting 505, 3 homers, 4 triples, 9 doubles, 34 RBIs, 30 hits, 9 stolen bases. And then Drew Stevens, another catcher, first baseman for that Normal Community team. Both these guys are at Normal Community. Stevens is hitting 417 with a 537 OBP, 655 slugging, and 1.192 OPS, 4 homers, 8 doubles, 30 RBIs, and 19 walks on the year. So they're kind of like leading the way in that 3-4 spot in their lineup for Normal Community. So hopefully they can kind of lead the way for them in the playoffs. Carson Butler out of Sacred Heart Griffin, just curious how he's doing. Don't have his stats, but just a guy to keep an eye on. And then Mike McCoy at Washington. I know he had a big year for them, Dane. Kind of leading the way in the middle of that lineup, right? Hitting 391. 13 doubles, 5 homers, 43 RBIs, 29 runs scored, and 12 walks on the year. So, some good stuff here for some position guys.
And just looking at like next being the pitchers, I'm just gonna get ahead of it. Like the guy that I love that I know is throwing some big games. I don't know the stats. I don't really care that much. Like it's not gonna change my prospect feeling on him, but Chase Reinhardt, Normal West. Like I can't wait to dig and see what he's done. He's probably taking the ball in every big game for Normal West. So bright future left-hander down there. He is a high follow sophomore for Normal West and Coach Hawk. But
Yeah,
that's one guy
one
I
thing to
saw in there
mention.
that I'm like itching to see how he's doing.
Yeah, he. I know I mentioned it last week, but he beat Normal Community in a conference matchup, and it was Normal Community's only conference loss on the year. I bet it's under 10 walks on the season. It's a lot of strikes, competitors. So, yeah, his stats will. I'm really curious what he's got there. But
Well, one of the top prospects in Central Illinois right now, when you talk about seniors that are getting pro love, is over at Monticello, Gap.
yeah, Ike Young, we've seen him up to 94. Again, I don't have his stats, but they're still in the playoffs right now. So once they're done, hopefully we'll get those year-end stats from him because I'm sure they are really good, kind of leading the way for them. Last year they had Luke Teschke and Ike Young, but now Ike's kind of leading the way on the mound for them. So I'm sure he can kind of carry them through the playoffs, having an arm like that and two-way. And another guy in that senior class, Gavin Swartz, out of Normal Community, kind of the ace.
Junior,
Yeah, or
junior
sorry, the
class.
junior. I say
No, you're
senior.
good. Yep,
A
all good.
junior, Gavin Swartz going to Indiana. He is Normal Community's kind of ace of their staff this year. 47 innings pitched so far this year with 69 strikeouts, 16 walks, and a 7-1 record. So good stuff there from Swartz.
We've seen
Yeah,
a ton of good performances come out of Ryan Schaffnet. I would say
yeah,
earlier in the season it was way more dominant than we've at least the box scores have seen as of late. But that's still a guy that's probably put together a really, really good resume on the year. Andy Antonacci, big fastball out of Sacred Heart. Like we'll need to check in and just see what his numbers look like. Could be a lot of strikeouts. You just saw Landon Crawford out of Farmington,
yeah.
so like we'll need to see what he did on the year. Did you get any
I
ideas?
I did. It was 80 plus strikeouts on the year, maybe 20 walks. I'm kind of making this up on the spot a little bit, but I think it's like 6-1 or 7-1 potentially. But he had a really good year for Farmington. So
Well, and
we'll have to hit the actual stats.
another small school arm that I know is like high on our prospect list. Like, hey, we need to see this guy. I think the projection is through the roof, but it's at Armstrong, Traxton Roberts. He's a sophomore arm down there with long levers. Looks like he was striking out a bunch of guys, like 55 strikeouts in 26 innings, maybe. Carter Prina over at Washington had a really, really good year. And I think that might have been it here that I'm
Yeah.
seeing, Gavin, unless I'm forgetting somebody.
Yeah, no, I
But I
tried
know
to do
there's a
my
ton of guys
best.
down in Southern Illinois we need to get to
Yeah.
too. So
Yeah.
Southern Illinois is absolutely loaded right now, like especially when you start talking about all the senior arms that are down in the area. But when you really start to like break down, man, who's putting up the numbers and like in the St. Louis area, who's leading the way in certain categories, like it is unbelievable how many guys they have to follow down there right now. Um, and like the two-way impact, and I like Austin Muzo and Connor Blue and Joe Chirotto. I think those are like three guys, and Hayden Bernruder. I'm gonna throw those four guys, and I might be missing a guy. This is kind of off the cuff here, but like those four guys have been extremely dominant. I would almost say with the bat first, and then on the mound. Like Joe Chirotto, I want to say is hitting over 500. Um, Connor Blue is leading the area in home runs, I want to say. I'm gonna have to look this up as I'm talking now because now I'm second guessing myself. I was looking at a lot of stats, but Connor Blue, Joe Chirotto, Austin Muzo, um, and Hayden Bernruder have had huge two-way years. Like Hayden Bernruder, 448 with 14 doubles, 8 triples, 3 home runs, 47 RBIs. And then on the mound, he's got 50 strikeouts in 26 innings. Like I definitely think he deserves to be right in that mix with just high end two-way guys down there. Hunter Ball, another two-way guy that maybe doesn't. He's only a junior. All those other guys that I just mentioned. So Connor Blue, senior at O'Fallon, Austin Muzo, senior at Mascuda, Hayden Bernruder, senior at Triad, and Joe Chirotto is a senior at Edwardsville. Joe Chirotto's hitting 515, 7 home runs. He's got 10 games started on the mound with 50 strikeouts and 41 innings, 2.52 ERA. So like he has been more dominant with the bat than he has been on the mound. I think he's intriguing some pro guys with what he's done with the bat. Cannon Camp's another two-way guy just to know down in that area. Father McGivney. But
Isaac
man,
Wendler
those
down here, Drew at Father
yeah,
McGivney.
great call out there.
Yeah.
Him and Cannon Camp are some high-level two-way guys for Father McGivney. Father McGivney had some guys like towards the top of the leaderboard when I was looking at it. Like really, really impressive stats that were coming out of Father McGivney. I'll get to them more here as we get down the list, but like pitchers, Waltonville, Brandon Menser. He's one of the senior, like one of the high end draft guys down there. Him and Andrew Winslow are kind of like those pitcher only guys this spring that I would say should be on that list. Andrew Winslow, I don't know how dominant his stats were. It sounded like he just kept getting better and better and better as the spring went on. He's also a basketball player, so it makes a ton of sense. But position only guys, and I guess Hunter Ball, I see we moved him up into this like two-way category, but Hunter Ball has given up 1 earned run on the entire season. He's thrown 32 innings. He started 6 games. I just think that's like a crazy, crazy good number. And 3 runs total. Like he has a 0.22 ERA. And he's still uncommitted. He's a junior. Dane just saw him topping at 87 with all kinds of pitchability. And then he also plays a really, really good middle infield. He's 321 right now with a 444 OBP. So that is a lot of just me talking. Are there any other arms down here? Anybody else you guys want to shout out? Because
Yeah.
if not, I'll just keep going.
No, I
Yeah.
see down here we got some more two ways. And Nolan Liebert from Mascuda is another one. He hit 360 on the year, 450 OBP, 558 slugging, 25 runs scored, 22 RBIs. And then on the mound, he started 5 games through 36 innings and struck out 33. Um, but yeah, Dane, I don't know. Do you have any other guys down here that you're kind of keeping an eye on? I know you saw a lot of guys in Southern Illinois.
I agree with the labor. I thought that he was a funky right-hander that is an eye to keep an eye on, known to keep an eye on the 26 class, as well as Isaac Wendler. I know we talked a little bit about him, um, but he's a guy that topped out at 88 in a previous stint that I watched him. Um, and he also hit a 1.274 OPS at the plate, uh, held the opposing batters to a 137 batting average. So you're just doing a lot of stuff for that Father McGivney team.
Absolutely. And yeah, so I got my stats where I need them to be. Um, it wasn't Connor Blue that almost led the area, but Austin Muzo. Austin Muzo has 9 home runs, and that currently leads the entire St. Louis area, Missouri, and Illinois. And he's an absolute dominant arm on the mound. So just really impressive stuff there out of Austin Muzo. And then a couple of these guys led the area and runs scored. Justin Turhar. We've thrown out a lot of names now for Father McGivney, like Isaac Wendler, Cannon Camp. Justin Turhar is a senior going to Missouri St. Louis, but runs scored 53 on the year. Omar Avalos, Father McGivney, uncommitted sophomore outfielder. He has scored 50 runs on the year, which is third on that list. And then if you go to home runs, Omar Avalos is third in the entire area with 8. So he's playing a no doubt center field. He's scoring a ton of runs. He's also hitting for power. He's only a sophomore and he hits left-handed. So just big shout out there for Omar Avalos. I thought those were two kind of just really big outlier numbers with the home runs, the runs scored, and then Justin Turhar, Father McGivney, just continues to look like an extremely dangerous team down there in 1A. Lucas Krebs at Edwardsville is a guy that's been a long-time starter for them. He's had a big year, hitting just shy of 400 with 8 doubles. Keegan Sipe has been one of the biggest, I wouldn't even say revelation, because we've always known he was a really good bat. He came to our junior future games as well, and was an imposing left-handed bat as an 8th grader. Like, that has stayed the exact same. Hit 388 with 13 doubles, 4 home runs, 36 RBIs, has really kind of just added some impressive depth and thump to that lineup. And then at the top of that triad lineup, you've got Gabe Deaver. He really stood out to me when I saw them play in game. Like, I just felt like he did a little bit of everything. He can run the bases. He's a tough at bat. He's got sneaky power. He can hit to the whole field. Like, he's a really good prospect to keep an eye on coming out of McKendree. But he hit 430, 17 doubles so far, and I bolded that one because I think that might lead the area in doubles. Let me see here. He's on a couple of these leaderboards. Gabe Deaver is he's tied for third in the entire St. Louis area, but he's first in Illinois when it comes to doubles with 17. He definitely deserves a shout out. You got Landon Loomis on here as well, hitting 330 with 10 runs, 7 doubles, 3 triples, 4 home runs, 29 RBIs. And you mentioned him earlier, Dane, for defense. Braden Robertson at O'Fallon, hitting 364 with 22 runs scored, 19 RBIs. Just been a really nice piece to that O'Fallon lineup. And then a couple arms here. Sawyer Brunson really stood out to me. I know we're on like a little bit of a triad Father McGivney kick, but like, man, Sawyer Brunson deserves his love. Like, I really liked it when I saw him throw this spring. He's going to Lewis and Clark Junior College right down there in that area in Godfrey. But 59 strikeouts in 29 and a third innings pitched. Like, that number right there, I was like, that's video game. That's outlier. Like, that is a huge number of strikeouts for innings pitched. So Sawyer Brunson, shout out to you. Shout out to Triad, Father McGivney, having huge years down there. We got our work cut out for us. I think that really is what it comes down to when we go to select these teams. We have a lot of numbers, a lot of players to dig through, and a lot still more to come. Like, a lot of like Pete, I thought hit on it perfectly earlier, talking about like playoff performances and like carrying your team to a win. One that really man, like brings me back was Brady Lauk with Plainfield East. It was like, had a good year coming into the playoffs, and then in the playoffs, he did absolutely everything for Plainfield East with the bat, with the arm, led Plainfield East to the state title, and like completely elevated himself when it comes to like, our all-state teams. So I need to take a breath after all that talking, Gav. Sorry for kind of
Oh, you're
dominating
good.
the microphone there. I hate when I do that, but there's a lot of players to mention, and they all deserve some love. And the thing I don't like about it is like we just went through and mentioned a ton of players. We missed people, right? Like we definitely missed guys, and we don't want to miss guys. So, let us know who we missed, whether it's a Richard Carlson up there at South Beloit or somebody else just kind of sitting out there that maybe we just haven't come across your stats or we missed your daily roundup or whatever it may be.